Now let's make this a little more interesting. In sorted list, we have this maximum items in the list that tests the condition. As you saw before, when you hit more than 5 items, that should be the maximum. So that's what we want to test. So we'll test maximum items in the list. And as you can see, there are many of the test steps here. I have an empty list that are the same. So use the magical wand and try to match them. And as you see, I have an empty list is already being auto matched. So we already have that. We have the cleanup condition. Now I want to add 5 items to the list. And of course, I could go ahead and just, simply add 5 items, record that user journey. But we're going to do it in a slightly more reusable way, okay? So now we're going to do, I'm still going to create a new test, and I'm going to call it list. And I'm going to call it add 5 items to list. And here again, sorted list. Never reload page, sorry about that. So here, of course, I could record and show you, just add 5 items. But instead, I'm going to use the plug test case that calls another test case. I'm just going to use the add item test. I'm going to do OK. And then I'm simply going to go to prescript here and see if I can repeat this 5 times. So let's go ahead. Let's look at how it would look. Let's delete the current item and then see if this will actually run the add item 5 times. In the prescript, of course, you can do many more sophisticated things. You can run over arrays for CSV data. You can have a function that creates and triggers a condition. So there's a lot of flexibility here. But what you can see now is at least we have 5 items. And one thing we notice is that actually when you have 5 items, there should be no error message shown. It's actually it's a mistake I made. You see? It shows your schedule is full, so it should be when you add 4 items to the list. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and not pretend that this is happening, and I'm going to go here under action setting prescript. I'm just going to add 4 items so we don't see the error message. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we have no error message show. And how do you validate that? Well, the best way to validate that is actually to go ahead, create new test, in list, validate no error message shown, sorted list, never reload page, and then we'll add one that shows the error message. And now we'll create a simple validation of the error message exist. And now we do validate exist, but now we want to do the inverse. So instead of exist, we'll just do not exist. So now if I run this, I will have a failure when you see the error message. And then I add one more item. Okay, I have that already. That's add item. Yes. And then an error message should be shown. But now I already have this test case. What can we do? Well, I can go here and I can just duplicate this, validate no error message shown. I will copy that, paste it, and say validate error message shown. So now I'm using the same test case, but instead of not exist, I use exist here instead, right? And now this will be successful when you have the error message. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back to that sorted list, maximum items in list, and I make sure that I map this to the validate error message shown. And then we have a test case that tests kind of both cases. When I do something, there should be no error message. And then when there should be an error message when I add the last item. And in Cucumber, some people think using many when-then clauses is not good practice. I find that in these cases it can be pretty useful, but it's up for you to decide. We support it in Boozang. So again, we'll make sure that everything is cleaned up. Now I said add 5 items, it should be 4 items. So that's a good thing. Sometimes when you write your cucumber, you notice you've actually got it wrong and you need to update it on the fly. In this case, there should be no error message. And then we add something again and we should see the error message. So here we have a slightly more complex cucumber test that tests both these cases.